1 minute. Okay. I like to start on time around here. All right, it's 7 o'clock. Welcome to the regular City Council meeting of Monday, June 15th, 2020, where it is 63 degrees outside. Can 2020 be any crazier? If somebody calls me and tells me there's Martians landing on the 9th fairway, I'll believe it. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. All right, we're going to start off with some good news for a change. This will be wonderful. We have a special certificate of appreciation for life-saving fire intervention. Chief Hasty, you want to come up?
Take this off so you can hear me a little bit better. How's everybody tonight?
Great.
Good. Good. I just wanted to share this with you. We had a resident who was looking out for another resident. We want to honor that person tonight. Let me give you a little brief, little history. On the night of May 7th, 2020, the TK Fire Department, along with mutual aid departments, were dispatched to a house fire on Palmyra Drive. While en route, we were advised there was still someone in the residence. Prior to our arrival, communications called us back and they said someone has evacuated the resident, so there is no resident inside anymore. When we arrived, we found heavy smoke and fire through the roof of a two-story residence with a walkout basement, fairly large house. Mr. Curtis, who was the rescuer, quickly advised us that they were able to evacuate Mr. Frazier from the house. This information allowed us to focus on the fire and to search for additional occupants, which we found there were none left in. Tonight, we want to recognize Mr. Curtis for his efforts in assisting Mr. Frazier. Brian, will you come up? So the certificate says, the TK Fire Department recognizes the commitment of Brian Curtis in recognition of a selfless act to save a neighbor during a time of residential fire in our city on May 7th, 2020. We appreciate you. We appreciate your efforts and the life-saving efforts that you provided for Mr. Frazier.
You want to say something?
This is really not necessary. I got a phone call, but I'm appreciative of my family, and we've been neighbors with Bill for about 8 years, and he still hasn't invited me out to golf with him yet. But anyway, hopefully we'll get that chance. But we're glad that we were there at the right time, and so he's okay. So
Great.
So thank you.
While they're doing that, I came over the next morning. That night, I received a call saying the house was a complete loss. Somebody who was on site said it was a complete loss, and which most stories, when the people are kind of in the heat of what's going on, get it wrong. The next morning, I went over there, and Brian was there, and Bill was there, and the house was still standing somewhat. I mean, the fire department got over there and saved the majority of it. So it's going to be rebuilt. Is that correct? So it wasn't a complete loss. It didn't burn down to the ground. It was a save by the police department. It was a save by Brian. Just a quick 1-minute story. When Brian had seen something going on, or heard something, or smelled something, he just said it just didn't look right, seem right, smell right. So he went outside and he saw the house burning. So he went and banged on the door, and Bill never answered. So he kept banging on the door, and Bill's got a big 6-foot glass window right next to the door. Is that a good description of it? So he pulled off a piece of the porch and rammed it through and broke the window, broke the glass. And then he poked his head in there, And there's Bill standing at the door saying, "What the hell are you doing?" To which he said, "I'm saving your life. It's time to come outside." And so Bill came out and saw the house was on fire, and he was inside the house, had no idea. So who knows what would have happened without Brian doing that, what he did. So thanks again, Brian. You're a good neighbor. Bill, way to go. Any other comments before we move on? Hearing none. Next, we'll go to item 2, public comments. We've got 4 people that want to speak. You have 3 minutes. Please come up and say your name and address, and you have 3 minutes to say whatever you like. First, we'll start with Carl Schaefer. Did I say that right, Carl? Yeah. Good deal. Come on up. You want to talk about privacy fences on corner lots?
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the City Council. I'm here tonight to request you make some minor changes to the city code regarding fences to protect the beauty of our community. In 2018, the City Council changed the code to allow tall privacy fences in TKK. Unfortunately, those code changes have led to a negative impact on my neighborhood, specifically on corner lots. So far, I've seen 3 privacy fences put up on corner lots in the last 4 months on my normal morning walk. Even though these fences are not in the front yard, the side yard faces the same direction as the other houses' front yards. One is right at the entrance to our neighborhood and is the first thing you see as you turn in. I feel privacy fences on corner lots detract from the beauty and openness of TKK. I'm also concerned about the construction of these fences on the corner lots especially, as they're all made with pressure-treated wood that can age potentially badly in 2 to 3 years if they aren't well maintained. The 6-foot fences are an economical way to get absolute privacy, but they certainly come at the cost of beauty. Cheryl's Drive alone has 11 corner lots, so imagine if all of them had privacy fences. I feel like we would look like we live in some kind of a cityscape, driving down the street, seeing wall after wall. The Lakeshore ARC guidelines address fences in 2 ways. Fences should minimize the physical and visual impact on neighboring properties. All fences must be well designed, well constructed, and compatible with the architecture of the home or project. In general, fences are not permitted in front yards and may not extend beyond the front corners of the house. Fences should be located to avoid removing any existing trees and significant vegetation. All 3 of the fences I've seen go up in my neighborhood on corner lots have a definite physical and visual impact on the neighboring properties. And I believe we should all be trying to keep TK more beautiful rather than creating a closed, walled-off community. So I'd respectfully request that the council consider modifying the code to address these corner lots.
By chance, did you send us an email?
I haven't, but I can follow up with that.
Would you mind doing that?
Yeah, yeah,
With
and I've
maybe
got
1 or
some
2
examples.
pictures or something like
Yeah,
that? Send it to the city manager.
Just
and
as a point of clarification, because we'll definitely, Tom Goble is here as well. We definitely want to circle back with you and find out where these are because your current code only allows for 5-foot heights and no privacy fences. So if some folks have installed some privacy fences, we definitely want to look into it because the code does not currently allow for the privacy fence.
Yeah, if
Is
you
it
look
the
at
shadow box fence?
this is shadow box.
Oh,
It's
those
the-
are
Those
allowed.
are allowed.
Which is I still consider those privacy fences.
Right,
So,
right.
because they really, the only time you can see through them is when you're literally standing by them. So I just think they're really ugly. So.
Okay,
Thank
thanks for bringing
you.
that to our attention. Next is Jim Masters, who wants to talk about the Pitcairn boat launch.
Yes, sir. Jim Masters, 407 Two Point Clear. Just want to get some dialogue going on Pitcairn. Want to thank Charlie, first of all. I know one of our neighbors has already had conversations with you on the parking issue there. So there's petitions going around that people are signing, and I don't know where that is right now. But at the end of the day, I've lived there for a long time, 1997. Pitcairn, to my knowledge, is a park and a boat launch. And if you go online nowadays, you can actually see that it's beaches near me, these things pop up. So it's being treated as a beach for the kids. So they think that's what it is. And they go down there. One of our neighbors who can see the dock down there, so this is a safety issue in my opinion, said there was 50+ people on that dock one afternoon. I don't know what the dock's rated for. I mean, is it a safety issue? Who keeps track of that kind of thing? I have no idea, but I just want to get some dialogue going on what's going on there. It's a boat launch, so people are kind of weaving in and out with their boats trying to get there. And when they do get there, if they're able to put their boat in the water, which people have to move for them to put the boat in the water, number one. Number two, they can't get to the dock to like load their boat and go out. So it's becoming, in the view of the people who are using it, a beach. On top of that, you know, with all the increased traffic and the people that are parking, we're picking up trash. I personally was walking my dog the other day with my wife Kathy and picked up a hypodermic needle on the circle down at the bottom. So what that was, it got run over by a car. I mean, I picked it up and threw it in the trash. You know, it's kind of getting out of hand, so I just want to get some open dialogue going with the city to see, is this a beach? Is it a boat launch? You know, in addition to the park, of course.
So,
You know, how are we going to treat it?
just very quickly, the petition was supposed to be dropped back off today. Did have the requisite number of signatures. Council basically looking at doing exactly what we did at the end of Windjammer for Executive Point and Triton.
You're talking parking?
What?
Parking?
No on-street parking, correct. Except for with the residential passes, just like we did it for Kiwi, Windjammer, in that area last year. So those signs should get installed. This should be the last weekend without those signs. Joey was ordering those today. As far as the docks go, last week we installed signage that dock capacity is no more than 10 people at a time. Those went up either I think on Thursday of last week, and police department's monitoring it. Basically, as we increase the enforcement at Windjammer, our teenagers have moved over to Pitcairn. And so having those conversations, making sure that they know you got to get a parking decal, park down in the lot, things like that. Yes, I have seen the pictures with 50 plus on the dock, basically sinking the dock. So that's something that we're definitely still monitoring. It is not a beach area. That is for, you know, if the kids are going to swim off of it, things like that, don't have a problem. But when they're deciding to invite their entire, you know, junior class to hang out on the dock, it gets to be an issue.
Yes.
But that is something that PD is monitoring along with our Parks and Rec staff. We'll keep adjusting as we need to.
Awesome. And I will say I've noticed an increased police presence in the area, but, you know, I talked to one of the officers and he said, go to council. You know, we're great, you know, which is why I'm here. I just want to kind of get the dialogue going and excellent. Thank you very much.
You know, last year we did some maintenance on renovation on Pitcairn, so it's a lot nicer than it used to be. And we just did that at Windjammer Park also. And the lady who called me is not on this list of public comments. I asked her to please come in and comment, but she called me saying that the reason that people were using the park so much is because they're too nice.
Oh, really?
So they're too nice. That's why people are using the park, Mayor. They're too nice.
Well, I actually.
Guilty. I don't know.
I actually spoke to some kids because the way it is set up right now, the police go down, and if there's cars that don't have a permit, they tell them to go up the road, and they're directing them to park on Triton
Right,
or
right.
on Executive Point, which is fine. I mean, if that's what the law is, that's what the law is. But, you know, all the neighbors are out saying, you know, park here, but don't park on my property. So don't, you know, put your tires on my grass or whatever. And I asked a few of the kids the other day, you know, what's going on? Is it like, why this year? Is it COVID? Is it just that
Everybody's been
things
cooped
are
up.
not open? And of course, you know, it's been a while since these kids are, you know, my grandkids' age. So I didn't get any real answer to that.
Yeah.
That made sense anyway.
Or that you could speak publicly here. We also are hoping that when Carowinds reopens, that a lot of the lounging goes away and they go lounge at Carowinds Water Park instead of on the dock at Pitcairn.
Yes, and I hope that's the case. But I just wanted to bring it up for dialogue.
Yeah.
You guys seem to be
Great.
already be on top of it.
We
so
definitely have it on our radar, no doubt.
Thank you.
Thanks for bringing it up.
Appreciate it.
Next, Miss Kate Forbes. Miss Kate Forbes wants to talk about shrubs on TK Drive.
Hi. So really appreciate that the city is maintaining the median along TK Drive, trying to keep it beautiful. However, the holly bushes that have been planted in place of the trees are now blocking visibility to the crosswalks. So I wanted to bring that to the council's attention. If you kind of drive through, you can see at least the last 4 shrubs really are impacting visibility to see people as they're coming from the opposite side of the road. So wanted to have those looked at and see if we can replace those, at least the last 4 trees at each of the crosswalk areas where the visibility is impacted with an actual tree that has the clearance so that you can see around it. That's all.
All right, thank you. And lastly, we have Mr. John Kirby. I can't really read your writing, what you want to discuss. Tell us your name, address, and what you want to talk about.
Keep the book. She writes the books better. John Kirby, 506 Crabtree Court. Wanted to speak to you about Windhaven. I've gone to City Hall before and previously tried to address this with them. I was dismissed, told to refer to the developer, the builder. Developer and the builder, basically dismissive. So I've come to you at this point in time. And I have copies. Windhaven is the plan development as approved. That's still posted today on the TKK site under plans and developments, which is not what they're building. They're actually developing a different plan where they've moved the road and put the townhouse on the opposite side. The existing plan calls for a 20-foot buffer yard. The new plan calls for a 0 buffer yard. The builder says, I'm putting a sidewalk within a foot of your fence, your property line, no buffer line. Now, TKK, if we're looking at it right, section 19.455 says, buffer yards shall be required to separate different land uses. 20-foot buffer yard spells out what type of plants must be planted. Builder says, we're doing no buffer yard. They clear cut the entire thing. I don't know who's overseeing TKK. Every tree has been clearly cut down. He said, the road's coming right here. This is a water runoff. I could canoe down that when it rains hard, and they're putting the road right there. Builder's dismissive, and I'm asking, who do I go to now to discuss this? Because the plan change is, as posted on TKK site, is not what they're building. And he has a different set of plans, a copy here. They moved a road from 3 lots. Now that road impacts 11 lots. So 11 houses now have a road within a foot of their property versus 3. No buffer yard required at all for the new plan. I don't know how they got approved, but that's not what was approved previously. So I'm asking you where I go to find out what our options are.
I'll dig into it this week and have conversations with Lenore
Okay.
to see what's what.
So,
Because Gil basically said, yep, right here. I'm putting the sidewalk right here.
I'll give Gil a call.
Okay, so
a call.
just-
Susan and I.
Just to
have a
double
conversation.
check here.
Yes, sir.
Do you want to, because your handwriting is, would you be sure to drop off your email address and phone number to him? Because
Sure.
right here, you're a pharmacist, I guess, right?
You think he'll take my shirt okay?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah, just drop off your
We
name
won't
and
hold it
phone
against
number,
you, I
or your,
promise.
your email address, name,
Yes, sir.
address, and all that stuff.
Like I said, I have gone to City Hall before, and she just told me, well, go to the building.
Gotcha.
So I'm
Thanks.
like, here. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Kirby, just get with Tom.
All right. Anybody else want to discuss anything that maybe didn't come in time to sign up? I'll allow you to speak real fast. Seeing none, okay, let's move on to the next one. Let's go to item 3 is approval of minutes. Council, you've read all the minutes from last week, from last month. Do you have any additions, subtractions, or changes? Seeing none, hearing none, the minutes stand as published. Ryan, are you still with us?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay. Ryan's here, by the way. Okay, let's go to item 4, committee reports. First one is Economic Development Commission.
Right. There wasn't a whole lot to speak about. They had one informal phone conference where pretty much just discussed the various retail consultants and the proposals that the EDC was given and the recommendations to the city. And not to steal Jim's thunder, that's coming up later on the agenda, so that's pretty much it.
All right, Planning Commission, Alicia?
Okay, good evening, everyone. So we did meet in person on, I believe it was the 1st of June, first Monday of every month. Sorry, looking at my notes here. So as we've had conversations before, some of our planning commission, actually all of our planning commission members are attending the different commission groups or commission meetings throughout the county. So some are going to York County, Clover, Fort Mill, et cetera, to just get an understanding of what kind of decisions they're making, what plannings, developments are they evaluating, and coming back and reporting on that. So some of those meetings were suspended, but they are anticipating that they'll restart here soon. So they'll begin to engage in those again. We did have 3 returning members to the planning board, so congrats to them, and 1 new member, Ryan Ross, which we all appointed at our last meeting. They did elect their chairman and their vice chairman. So Chris Leonard continues to be the chairman. So congratulations, Chris. And Matt DeWitt is now the vice chairman of the Planning Commission. So those are the leaders there. So some things that we did at the meeting, or they did, The final plat for Phase 2, Trinity Towns at TKK, was approved, subject to the city approving a warranty agreement on the roadwork completed on Stonecrest Drive, as well as approval of the LOC surety agreement. A revised preliminary site plan and a revised final plat for Windhaven was approved. We started discussions on potential regulations to control animals and livestock in the city, and we did receive several comments from folks who were able to come and actually give us some really good policy-type feedback in terms of if we do develop an ordinance, here are some things to consider based on their experience. So that was really great, and appreciated hearing from them. And from that perspective, the Planning Commission is expecting that they'll have a recommendation to City Council in August, so a couple months away. And then they reviewed their work plans for 2020. You all should have a copy of those, but if you need an updated copy, please let me know. And they just reprioritized a few things there due to losing some time from COVID. The next meeting is July 6th at 6:30 p.m. right here in the Glennon Center. So I encourage you all to attend and get involved and understand what's going on. There's lots of cool things happening in the Planning Commission right now. So thank you, Chris, for your leadership there.
Thank you, Alicia. All right, let's move on to item 5, unfinished business. Item 5A is the second reading of an ordinance to amend Ordinance 545 regarding the fiscal year 2019-2020 TK utilities rate structure. Oh, boy. So, as the council discussed at the last meeting, the city of Rock Hill will be increasing their water and sewer rates by 15% and 3% respectively beginning July 1st, 2020. The water rate increase will be passed from the town of Fort Mill onto the city of TK as is needed in order to continue to maintain and operate the system and keep our required debt service coverage ratio. On average, these new rates will increase the average utility bill by $8.72. So what happens is the city of Rock Hill is the one who purifies all the water. That's our water source. They sell it to Fort Mill, and then Fort Mill sells it to us. So we don't have a water treatment plant, and neither does Fort Mill, so we're both at the mercy of Rock Hill, whatever they want to charge us. They've always kept their rates as low as possible, but when they have a rate increase, there's nothing we can do about it. We just pretty much say, great, sorry that we have to do it. We're all going to be affected by it, but that's just the way it is. We don't, I mean, anybody else got any better ideas on how we can fix this? It's just, I mean, I've called over there and we've talked to them. Charlie's talked to them. It is what it is. So we're not happy about it. Obviously, I know you're not happy about it. A lot of you called me since the last meeting that you think that it's outrageous. So do I. I think it's outrageous too. But until we invest in our own water treatment facility, this is what we have to do. And that's, I think the city of Fort Mill, we discussed it at our meeting, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, months ago, maybe it was about $200 million to do this, which would affect your bill that way too. So there's no easy solution here. I wish there was. Any comments or questions by the council? How about by the general public? Any comments or questions? All right.
I'll just, I'll quickly speak on this. So, Councilmember Overman and I had the opportunity to go to recently the Lake Ridge HOA annual meeting, and this came up a lot. And there were just a lot of questions about how does our water and sewer system work? And that's something that, I've shared with Charlie in terms of just what can we do to help educate our folks, and if there's some sort of documentation that he can put together that we can push out to help people understand where exactly our water comes from, what do we need from an infrastructure standpoint, how does our wastewater leave our homes, where does it go, how's it treated? So I just want to let everyone know that Charlie and his staff are working on putting something together that we can then push out to help people just better understand where our water comes from, how it's treated, and then how it leaves your home. So that's forthcoming, and I look forward to seeing that. Awesome. Great. So hopefully that will provide some clarity and just some help to understand the complexity of the system that we have.
Absolutely. Any other comments or questions? I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, members of council, motion to approve the second reading of an ordinance to amend Ordinance 545 regarding the FY 2019 through 2020 TK utilities rate schedule.
I have a motion. I have a second.
Second.
Second by who was it, Heather?
Yeah.
Heather was first. She was first, oh, yeah. Second by Heather. Now the vote, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous, it passes. Thank you, Brian. Next is item 5B, which is the second reading of an ordinance providing for the issuance and sale of a waterworks and sewer system revenue refunding bond of the city of TK, South Carolina, in a principal amount not to exceed $7,700,000 to be designated Series 2020. In June of 2014, the city issued a revenue bond necessary for the acquisition of the former Utilities, Inc. water and sewer system in TK. The current interest rate on that bond is 3.16% and will be paid off in June 2034. Based on the current market conditions, the city can refinance and move to a lower interest rate, providing an annual savings of approximately $30,000 for the remaining life of the bond. It will not extend the life of the bond. So actually what we're doing is just refinancing. We're saving $30,000 a year to go into other things. Probably
Actually,
a
Mayor, you're gonna
win-win
be
for
closer to
everybody.
40,000 because the interest rate came in at 2.04, so
So it's even better.
you're gonna be closer to 40
I like that even more.
on annual, which is really good.
Are there any questions or comments by council? Any questions or comments by members of the public? All right, it's just pretty straightforward. I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor and members of council, I'd like to make a motion to approve the second reading of an ordinance providing for the issuance and sale of a waterworks and sewer system revenue refunding bond in the principal amount not exceeding $7.7 million to be designated as Series 2020 and other matters related thereto.
I have a motion by Gus Machinas. I have a second.
Second.
Second by, I always like this phone. Second by Alicia Dash. Oh, I'm sorry, Heather.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I wasn't looking. You guys sound the same. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you, Ryan. Move on to item 6A. Catch up here. 6A is consideration of Economic Development Commission recommendation to engage retail strategies to provide consulting and other services related to economic development. The Economic Development Commission has received proposals from 3 national consulting companies who specialize in retail recruitment and development. At this time, I'd like to invite Jim Stauffer to come forward and present his recommendation to the city council. Jim?
So first off, before I give my recommendation, is there any questions to what we did or anything on these? I know you guys had probably had a chance to read through some of them.
Yeah, I have a couple questions, Jim, if you don't mind. So I read in Retail Strategies, I believe their proposal is good for 90 days from when they released it. I didn't see in the others. Do you know for sure?
Yes, it is for 90 days.
For all of them, okay. So one of the concerns that I had when reading through pretty much all of them, there wasn't one that necessarily stood out more than others, is the national retail chains that they listed as their examples. Things like Papa John's, Zaxby's, Dollar Tree, Cookout, Chipotle, Publix, Home Goods, all great stores. I don't know if that's necessarily the vibe that TK wants to go in. Everything that we've talked to and gotten feedback from says that we want to keep it a small town feel in TK. So while they may be using those as kind of their catalysts and ways to get contracts, I just want to make sure that they're clear on what our expectations are and trying to kind of not necessarily do so many large retail chains.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what we told them is we're looking for 3 things. Barbecue, pizza, and nail salons, and we were all set.
Tire
Keep
stores.
bringing those in, and we'll be fine. No, that's one of the great things about retail strategies is the way that they went about, actually, there were a couple of them that went about it this way, is going after what the city really needs. And you see a lot of these national chains because that's the predominant retail groups that come out in these, no matter what city you go to or exit you get off, that's what you see. You're gonna see a Dunkin' Donuts, you're gonna see a Starbucks, you're gonna see a Chick-fil-A. So those are the predominant things. What's unique about them is what we can bring, what they're gonna bring to the table on facilities we haven't thought of before. How do you look at the whole concept with TK as being an outdoor environment? And so it doesn't fit a typical McDonald's. It doesn't fit a Dollar Tree. It doesn't fit, it fits an REI store. It fits something outdoors. It fits a unique hamburger place. It fits the Model A brewery that's coming in. So the way that they go about selecting these is not just taking the data and saying, oh, by the way, your demographics would be great for this. It's what does the city really want? What's the direction of the community? And then bring in a group of vendors into it, not just one or two, but how do you bring in a whole group? And then they do have a whole real estate division.
Yeah.
So
How are they getting at, like, how are they, like, understanding what it is about TKK that's special? So are they, I mean, data's one thing and looking at the data, but
Sure.
Are they spending time here? Are they meeting with residents and having conversations with them? Are they looking at comprehensive plan? Like, what is it that they're using to really guide that
Yeah.
feel?
So they're doing all of the above. So everybody has access to the data in here. You can pull up the demographics of the area and what's in a 20-minute radius and all that. Then they use mobile data, so tracking mobile phones on who's going where, who's spending time, who's stopping, who's not. And then they will be coming in to do meetings with the city, so to get a better understanding and a feel for the city. So they have, a couple of them have been here already, just to see what the city was like. Nothing formal, but to drive through and say, wow, this is what I'm gonna be dealing with.
Yeah.
So,
I guess, you know, I'm not sure if they're meeting with city staff or, you know, if you have plans to meet with residents, but I think probably even meeting with individual council members could be helpful if there's an opportunity to do that, because I know that, you know, all of us have probably had some thoughts, ideas about this, you know, Main Street TKK and kind of could give it or provide some more detail, and if that's helpful.
yes,
I think it'd be,
there will be a variety of meetings in that sense, because I know everybody has a desire to, everybody wants different things. And the one thing the city is lacking is we own nothing. We do not own the land, we do not own the real estate, we don't own the buildings. So we're really at the mercy of that developer coming in. So the main thing is to get them an idea on what our vision is, and then them to help us acquire a developer to build that out.
one thing that also might be helpful to them is there's a small group that's formed that's got members of ED, Planning Commission, and TK Forever? Or-
Just ED and planning.
Okay, ED
Yeah.
and Planning, sorry. And we're looking at mixed-use development and rewriting those codes, so.
And Ashley's on that,
Yep.
Okay,
correct?
Yep,
okay,
she
yes,
is.
yes, she is,
So she will be tied in with
perfect,
all of that.
good, okay.
So you're getting some input from from our neighbors in TKK on what they're interested in? I mean, that might be different than what a person wants to invest in and bring into our city, but, you know, we always hear a movie theater. I mean, I hear that more than anything. Maybe that's because now we're getting brew pubs and restaurants more come in. That used to be the number one thing, but how do you get a movie theater to come in here? I mean, they
Jim's
look at the
been trying.
demographics and how close their movie theater is. The next one down is like in Rock Hill. How do you?
Well, there's a lot of things that would be great for the city to have, but we don't have the land to put everything on. So it really comes down to the investment of the developer, what he's gonna get a return on, and what the city and the community is gonna stand behind and support. So there's a lot of different things. And there's a lot of corporations, especially now, that are modifying their footprint and what they're offering. So you're not gonna see very many 15-screen movie theaters anymore. I mean, movie theaters were already losing money before this.
Right.
Now a lot of them aren't coming back. So what you are seeing is a 3-screen. You know, I'm sure, looking around, most of us are old enough to remember when it was a single screen. And they had an intermission in between. So those were fun. So you're gonna see a modification of things with even the bar settings. You know, there may be 3 lanes of bowling alleys, there may be 3 screens in there. How do you bring everybody together? Because there's a lot of, you gotta remember TUK is also a small community, and you have a lot of people with kids that are under 5 that I really want this. And then when they're 15, they're gonna go, I don't want this anymore. I need something over here. So we really gotta plan for everybody.
Any other questions?
Yeah, one last question. I believe it was Retail Coach gave kind of the COVID impact trends that we've seen.
Yes.
So with things, in this being kind of a large-scale investment for the next couple years, I think this is where we need to head. I don't disagree. With our vision, our goals, our strategies, economic development is where we need to put our focus for TKK. Do you foresee issues with, as it relates to the economy and being able to kind of fulfill these goals with these different companies being able to fulfill these goals?
There's trepidations on some sides of things, but we're also seeing developers and retailers looking at this as a positive. Okay, now I can build something unique. Now I can build something that can accommodate what everybody's requiring at this point. You still have a lot of people that don't want to go places, that don't want to, and that's my opinion, that's going to change. Probably 80–90% of people are going to get back to a normal life. But what are some of the unique things that we can build into this? It may be more open space, could be wider areas, could be more outdoor seating. Our environment's great for that, especially if it's 60 degrees in June. It's wonderful. So I think you have a lot of developers and a lot of commercial retailers that are looking at this as a positive because they have to. The numbers aren't there on the sales. They got to be looking at the future on, okay, what does 12 months from now look like? How do I change my business model to fit this and still turn a profit?
Any other questions?
So I guess I had some of those same concerns, and especially around just making sure that we could get really good local businesses, hopefully, but then just given the state of the economy, and thinking about the timing of this, do those small businesses have the capital to invest in, opening up new storefronts and buildings if, maybe for the next, well, it changes all the time, how long everything's gonna last. But so I just, had some concerns. I'm sure you all are looking into that. But I do, I'm a little, just nervous about the timing with it, but at the same time, it's like, we can't not invest. One thing, if things do continue, or if things get worse and businesses reclose or anything like that because of COVID, how will that impact, or what are we guaranteed to get at the end of this contract term? What are they guaranteeing we'll have? Are they guaranteeing that we will have a whole retail plan with folks to occupy these buildings? What is it exactly that?
You'll have a plan for sure, but what you get out of it is what you put in. Just because you join a health club doesn't mean you're going to get fit.
Right.
You got to give something back to this. And one of the cities that we spoke to said if we would have given them more guidance, we would have got so much more out of them. So it's one thing to hire somebody and say, here you go, do it. It's another thing to be fully engaged with that consultant and helping them build out what you need in those areas. So we're gonna have a full plan. We're gonna have actually specific marketing pieces to take to vendors that we want to bring in here, to commercial properties, developers, to retail people, to restaurants, showing them exactly why TEK is the best place to be. And when you talk to any of these groups and we start talking about the numbers of TEK and what TEK is about, they're all salivating. Why didn't we know this? And this is people from outside the state to right in Charlotte. Why didn't we know that TEK was here?
So do you feel then that you have the right direction from City Council to be able to take that or are there things that we need to do now or throughout this process to help the Economic Development Commission as they go through this process? What is it that we can do to help ensure the success of this?
Sure. At this point, the RFP is received, the numbers, the pricing is known. It's up to getting that approved. If you need more input from me on that, then let me know. Once that's approved, then it's going to be a whole community effort. It's not going to be just the Economic Development Committee and council, it's gonna be a whole effort with the Economic Development Committee coordinating and driving that.
And two, during a time such as this, the well-capitalized, bolder developers, I mean, this is when they strike. They have, they get their money cheaper. This is when they do. And those are the type of people, as a developer, they're going to bring in the right businesses and the ones that are going to make it. And it's the right time for them. So I'm pretty confident that this is a great time to engage this activity.
Any other questions? How about members of the public have any questions? Want to step up and ask any questions? All right, Jim, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Jim.
All right, council, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, motion to approve the Economic Development Commission's recommendation to engage Retail Strategies for the purposes of providing consulting and retail recruitment services and authorize the city manager to execute the necessary paperwork after it has been reviewed by the city's attorney.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second. We'll let Ryan have that second. Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks.
Okay, let's go to item 6B. 6B is a resolution authorizing the purchase of golf maintenance equipment in the form of an equipment lease purchase agreement not to exceed $239,000. Boy, nothing is cheap anymore. The TK Golf Club is requesting to get some new equipment necessary to replace and supplement older equipment used to maintain the golf course. The annual payments will be made by the golf course out of revenues generated by the facility and will not impact the city's budget. That's always good to hear. Are there any questions? Comments? Yes, ma'am.
What are we buying?
Kim,
I don't
if you
see-
could come up.
Yeah.
Kim Worrell with Pinnacle Golf Management can,
Thank you. I'd
Give
like
you
to
that
know
list.
what we're buying and what we're doing with the equipment that we've been purchasing. Are we like selling that, retiring it, or is it going to continue to be in operation?
Most of the equipment that's here currently will remain in operation until its end of its useful life. And we work with the city manager to get approval, to sell that equipment, and then we reinvest that money back for future needs in the golf course. Every 4 years, we basically are transitioning pieces of equipment and replacing critical pieces of equipment. Sorry, I hate this thing. So what we're getting with this one is 3 brand-new greens mowers, which are $44,000 a piece, right? Correct. Okay. And we're getting a new greens roller, which will be used for alternating from mowing to rolling to smooth surfaces. It's another agronomic practice that we use. Chuck, you want to jump in here? Okay. Then, help me, is the 4,500, is that what? Yeah. I know my glasses. That's the rough unit, so to mow all the rough.
Use it to mow the ball field as
Right,
well.
exactly, we're doing all that. And then there's a 5510D
Yeah, fairway unit.
fairway unit, which I think our newest fairway unit is how old?
Well, we got 2 fairly new ones. They're 2015s.
And so we need 3, because we have 3 nines to mow. And then, obviously, we take those old pieces and we use those as much as we can to take some pressure off the new equipment to extend its life. So we're constantly using the new equipment less, taking it out of service to make sure we do the repairs and maintenance that's necessary to extend its life, and use the old equipment in those periods of time. And then there's a couple of utility vehicles that are necessary for all types of things with dump beds and hauling material. And so the total is 223, right?
With tax, 238.
238. And again, it's the same payment that we're currently making, is basically, it's in.
and they just retired the
Right.
current loan
Yeah.
with the June payment this year.
It's an ongoing, thing with the golf carts and golf course maintenance equipment, so.
Is any of this equipment, whether the new stuff we're buying or the stuff we're getting rid of, is it ever loaned or leased or rented out to any place outside the city?
No, sir.
It stays in the city all the time, only to be used by the golf course,
Right.
100% of the time.
Yes, sir. And
As I did notice, I don't know if council caught that, but the 4,500 unit, they actually use to mow the city ball fields.
Right.
Athletic fields. Yep.
That's what brought up if it's ever loaned to the school district or to
No,
any other.
just the city-owned fields.
Okay. Gotcha. All right.
questions?
Any other questions? Any questions from anybody else in the audience? No? Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Oh, are we gonna have a flag on the number 2 fairway this year? Okay. Before I vote, I wanted to know that. All right. Any other questions, anybody? All right, let's entertain a motion.
Mayor, members of council, motion to approve the resolution authorizing the purchase of golf maintenance equipment in the form of an equipment lease purchase agreement not to exceed $239,000 at 1.56% APR with Truist Bank.
I have a motion, I have a second? Second by Gus Machinas. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That was a motion, Ryan.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. It's unanimous. Thank you. Let's go to item 6. Is it C now? Okay, this is a consideration of a letter of credit and the performance, labor, and material surety agreement for final plat Trinity Phase 2. At the June 1st meeting, the Planning Commission approved the final plat for Phase 2 of the Trinity Townhome project in the Game On PDD, contingent upon the council's approval of the performance, labor, material surety agreement, and the letter of credit in the form approved, the city, and in the amount sufficient enough to cover the final lift of asphalt sidewalks and landscaping. Their approval was also contingent upon the developer and contractor providing a warranty to the city for a 2-year period on the work performed on Stonecrest Boulevard as part of the installation of the turn lane. Any questions or comments?
Charlie, did you get your 2-year guarantee that you were looking for?
Yes, sir. We've got a 2-year warranty in hand. It's a performance labor materials warranty agreement that your city attorney put together. Both developer and contractor have executed that. We have that on file. The LOC is in the form and substance approved by your city attorney, ready to go. You've got your engineer's probable cost and confirmation letter from your engineer. So everything is in order for this to move forward, should council decide to do so. All the
That's
contingencies
not
have
just
been
on the
met.
turn lane, that's on the whole project?
No, the warranty that was required is on the travel lanes and median turn lane on Stonecrest Boulevard. That's the
just
only
the part
thing
on
that
Stonecrest.
warranty is a part. That is
Gotcha.
correct.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, let's go to the vote. All right, wait. Have
Mr.
we
Mayor,
even, we don't have
members
a
of
motion
council.
yet. Let's get a motion first. Go ahead.
Yeah, same people. I'd like to make a motion to approve the letter of credit and the performance, labor, and material surety agreement for Trinity Phase 2, contingent upon the receipt of the original letter of credit from Truist Bank.
I have a motion from the Mayor Pro Tem. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Second by Heather Overman. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 That's unanimous. All right, let's go to item 7, the city manager's report. Charlie Funderburk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Our modified youth spring season, spring sports season began tonight. Men's softball actually started up last night, and adult kickball started last Friday. Good to see people back out on the fields, especially the kids tonight. A lot of giggles, a lot of smiles. It was a lot of fun. I was able to get out there a little bit before tonight's meeting. We originally had 1,900 kids signed up back in March when everything shut down. Just over 1,000 kids returned, so good to see that. I do want to take this opportunity to personally acknowledge the hard work and dedication that Joey Blethen, Dustin Overton, Walker Johnson, and Andrew Rad put into making this happen. Obviously, Joey is our Parks and Recreation Director. Dustin is our Recreation Superintendent, and then Walker and Andrew are Recreation Programmers for us. I've watched these guys meet on and off since basically late March. As things progressed through the state, it was, oh, well, let's amend the schedule to get ready to start up after spring break. And then, oh, well, school's closed till then, so just going through that and staying on top of things, they have put in a mountain of effort to get us to this point, and I just wanted to personally and publicly acknowledge them for those efforts. Very, very much appreciated there. This Saturday, we do have our first concert of 2020. Joey has worked to modify the setup to allow people to spread out a good bit more. That information was pushed out via social media today, what the new setup is going to be and things like that. We've also eliminated the kids zone, and we've got the food trucks are the only things that you're going to have on the smaller field up there, with the stage being over on the larger field. We're also not running the trolley service. We're asking folks to park, once Rundy fills up, park at the lower maintenance courts. Park at, we've already talked with Fargle and the golf staff. Folks can also park up here at the clubhouse and walk on down. So looking forward to that getting started back up this weekend. As council is aware and has provided direction, our July 4th festivities are going to be a little different this year. We will have our land parade beginning at 9 a.m. And the golf course will be hosting their normal red, white, and blue golf tournament around the same time as is the case every year. Other activities throughout the day are canceled to include the Windjammer Party, the Lions Club Fish Fry, and the city birthday celebration. But we will finish off the day with the fireworks show. Later this week, we'll begin pushing out information. Council, I've already shared that with y'all as far as the traffic changes that will be implemented for the fireworks show. Not only will we be pushing out on our website and our social media, we're going to send it out to the TK Connect liaisons as well to get them to push it out to their neighborhoods well in advance of the show. And then finally, council, as a reminder, we'll be having a special council meeting 2 weeks from today on June 29th to present updates to you on the strategic plan initiatives and to get input from you regarding your goals for FY 2021. Department heads have already been working very diligently on their budget proposals, but definitely need to get that input, necessary input from you guys as far as specific goals and things that, or priorities and projects that you want to see in 2021 so that they can come back to you at the July 30th budget presentation. So, and that concludes my report for this evening.
Yes, I just want to reiterate on the fireworks. There's many places around TK to watch the fireworks. You don't have to be sitting right underneath the mortar.
That's correct.
That shoots it up. You can see it from Walmart. You can see it from TK Elementary School. I mean, you can see it. You can probably see it from Harris Teeter, I would imagine.
There are definitely places in Lake Ridge you can see it.
Lake Ridge. You can see it from your front yard or your backyard, or you can go walk up the street on the corner of the street. On my street, I can go up to the top of the hill and watch it. So you don't have to come to where they're shooting off the fireworks to be able to see the fireworks. I know a lot of people are going to go out on the lake and watch it, especially around the water around Windjammer Park. People have been telling me you can see it from the Windjammer Park from the lake there, and it reflects off the lake, and it's kind of like a double show. So there's lots of other places that you can watch it without being at the park. I hope people take advantage of that. We're the only fireworks show in town, or I should say in the county. Everybody else is canceled. So we're trying to get back to some semblance of normalcy. So I hope everybody enjoys it and comes out and at least watches it from wherever they can watch it from a safe vantage point. So now let's move to council comments. We'll start with Alicia.
Awesome. Well, that being said, happy early 4th of July to everyone. And please pay attention to the traffic plans. Don't want to get anyone caught not being able to come onto the peninsula later that night or right before the show if parking lots fill up. So once the city finalizes their plans and pushes that out, please do pay attention, especially if you're having guests visiting you that day. Want to just express my gratitude to Brian Curtis and for his help in saving Bill and his home, and that's just amazing and really represents the heart of TKK and just who everyone in this community really is, and how we all look out for each other. So I was really grateful and appreciative to hear that story. So thanks as well to the mayor and Charlie for putting that on the agenda and bringing that to light, because that's really important. I echo some of the things that Charlie said in regards to the budget process beginning at the end of this month. So throughout the year, we oftentimes hear about things that people say, oh, why isn't the city doing this? Why isn't the city doing that? Now's the time. If you see something or can think of something that you think that we should be investing in or looking into or studying or whatever it is, we're starting to plan for next year's budget. And so the more we know about those things and what the priorities of the community are, the more we can evaluate them against the needs of the city and prioritize them and hopefully fund those things. So please feel free to send emails to any of us, call us, and don't just post it on social media. Make sure we see it, and we can get that included in our analysis. And then the last thing I just wanted to ask if Gus or Charlie, if either of you have an update on maybe from the Army Corps of Engineers in the
Sure, on the stream?
yeah.
So we've got a consultant that is working right now. They will actually be here on July 13th to do a formal presentation to council at your meeting then on what their findings are. Tom has, with our engineer, had some conversations with Army Corps. Basically, we would have to go through a stream remediation permit, which can get extremely expensive, and you're talking about a stream that is not on city property at all. So there would have, some of it's on private property, some of it's, well, it's all on private property, but some's on residential property, some's on HOA. For the time being, we at least have identified what the process is, but we've put a pause on that until we get the report back from the experts that we have consulted to bring in, and they'll be here July 13th to do a formal presentation for you.
Okay, cool. That's good to hear. Thank you. That's all.
Okay,
Thank
Heather?
you.
Okay, so I've had a resident reach out to me, and I kind of wanted to address council specifically because I told him that I would bring this up. It's about the deer, so shocker. But, so the deer are still an issue, apparently. And with us, having large-scale developments, I would foresee that getting worse before it gets better. But, one of the things that he did say, is there anything in place? Do we have an ordinance that prohibits people from feeding the deer? Obviously, we don't, but he, insisted that that's something that we consider. I know we've talked about it before, and enforcement would be kind of a nightmare. And, if neighbor A feeds the deer, neighbor B has to tell on them for feeding the deer, and then how do you prove that they fed the deer? And so I did say that I would bring it up for council consideration, so if we could maybe have a chat about that, even via email in the next month or so, just to kind of throw some ideas around.
Sorry, just to add to that, with the planning commission taking a look at the ordinance around animals, I did ask them just to, if they're, as they're doing their research, if they come across anything that addresses deer populations and ways to, unique ways to address that, I think that council would welcome their feedback there. So, and I just kind of put that plug out there randomly to them. But, yeah, I think it's a it's a hard conversation. People love the deer, or you hate the deer.
Yep.
So, fun stuff.
Okay.
Thank you, though,
Well,
for
thank
bringing it
you. I will just reiterate what both Charlie and Alicia said on June 29th at 7 p.m. with the budget strategy meeting. This is the time to make your voice heard, not in December when the budget's already been decided and we can't change too much. So if there are things, we have a list. The city has a list, department heads have a list, but if there are things that we should consider that you want us to think about, please let us know. So we have the concert and we have 4th of July. I will say publicly that I do have some very large concerns, both on public health and public safety, with us being the only ones in York County hosting large-scale events, bringing a lot of people into the city right now. But I'm just one voice, and the show will go on. So if you do attend those events, please be safe and stay healthy. And that's it. Happy 4th of July.
Thank you, Heather. Ryan, you're up next. Do you have anything to say?
No, I got nothing, guys. I'm sure it sounds horrible over the phone, so
No, you sound
keep
really
on
good.
keeping up.
It's a really good phone I've got there, so you're coming in very clear.
Got one of those with like the 3 cameras on it.
Yep. Please enlighten us with some of these, whatever you want us to talk about. We can hear you just fine.
To reiterate what Heather said, I know the 4th of July fireworks. It's kind of a concern. I think we're still 20 days away. Too soon to make a call on it. As of now, the show goes on, and we keep doing our best to social distance, do what we have to do to stay safe. and miss you guys. Wish I could be there.
All right. Thank you, Ryan. Gus?
Well, there's not much left to talk about other than I couldn't hear anything that Ryan was saying over that cell phone. No, I just happy that we're having a food truck rally and a concert this weekend. I think that the revised layout is a lot of work, but it looks nice. It was nice seeing that out there today. Looking forward to the July 4th parade and the fireworks. I will, tag team with everybody else. And what David said, you don't have to be on the golf course to watch the fireworks. You can see them from all over TKK, so we can be certainly spread out. And, I think it's really cool that we get to celebrate the birthday of our country and the birthday of our city, mostly the way that we always have. I mean, that's a very special day in TKK, and I hate that we can't do all the things that we normally do, but we're going to do as much of it as we possibly can. It's your choice to attend in whichever way that you see you can attend, but we're all looking forward to it.
Thank you. I just want to say I'm disappointed that the ski show's not going on, but I understand they haven't had a chance to practice with all this going on, so they didn't want to put on anything but the best show they can do, and they just haven't had time to they got to climb each other, get up on pyramids, and you just can't do that in a week and a half or 2 weeks of training, of practice. So, it'll be even bigger and better next year. But if you can come out and watch it, come out. We have the best parade in the county. We have the best fireworks in the county anyway. Just remember to keep your distance from people, and whatever way you feel comfortable. If you want to watch it from afar, or if you want to watch it wherever, just be safe. I just want to also say Windjammer Park looks great. We opened that up last week. I go down there every weekend, as our good policeman has seen me down there a few times, and I just check and see how it's going, and I get nothing but great comments. So anybody who said, there's no place to park, or it's packed, people are being dropped off, they're riding their bikes or whatever. And you can even ride your golf carts there. We have 6, 8 charging stations there, 10 charging stations. So you have to bring your own charger, because there's 3 different types of chargers, but you can, bring it up, plug in, and go enjoy the day, and then drive your golf cart back. We prefer you to bring golf carts because it makes more room for people with cars, with automobiles. But it's going great down there. It looks great. It's being well used. I drive by on the boat sometimes. I drive my own golf cart down there and see it, but it's very good. Other than that, I have nothing else, and I will entertain a motion. We got to go to executive session to discuss legal advice as it pertains to the city-owned property at the police station and related correspondence. Motion to adjourn to executive session. Second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That was an aye for you, Ryan.
I said aye.
Okay. Thank you. We're in executive session.